Now, the Democratic Alliance has expressed concern over the poor state of Gauteng schools. This has caused thousands of students to drop out of the system. More than 10% of students enrolled by the department in 2021 failed to return to school for the 2022 academic year in grades 1 to 12. Let's discuss this now with the Gauteng MEC for Education, Matome Chiloane. MEC, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time. Welcome to today. The numbers that I have sort of referred to, I guess, were contained in your response when you revealed this information to in the legislature to a question by the DA. But the numbers are staggering. I mean, are you concerned about these dropout rates?
Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to your viewers. Thank you again. Firstly, let me clarify the question. Firstly, when the question was asked, the member in question, which is from the Democratic Alliance, missed a number of factors. The question was looking at the final end throughput and not looking at the whole system entirely. So he looked at the numbers based on grade 1 and the outcome at grade 12. And said at this point, this number has been lost out throughout the system, and that's what we responded to. But what you need to understand is that there's a real term when it talks to dropout, and we need to explain it. When we say a learner has dropped out and is missing in the system, we need to firstly search the system entirely. That is the learner not in any school in any province? The learner is not in any TVET? The learner is not doing homeschooling? Then formally, we can then talk about the real states of learner dropout. So in this case, there are factors that we never respond, because when a member asks a question, we respond to what you are asking. There are many factors we need to look at.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. MEC, so let me come in there. So in your information, the data that you have, the numbers that you have, how many learners have dropped out?
No, the reason why we can't give you as a provincial department the real-term numbers of dropout, because we can only speak to the numbers that we have. Only the Department of Basic Education through what we call the National Learner Unit Record and Tracking System. We can determine if the learner has been formally lost throughout the system entirely, because we have legislations that have put in place that forces compulsory education for 7 to 15 years, which amongst us we need to trace where the child is. And we have informed our school that if a child goes missing for a particular number of days, the school needs to go and find out where the learner is.
Are there mechanisms in place under your department to track, as you say, to trace the missing learners? Let's just call them that in inverted commas. Those who've sort of, because the numbers have gone down. It doesn't matter over what period. If you started with a particular number of pupils in grade 1, and at the end of their 18 years of schooling after matric, the number has dropped. Something has happened. They've gone missing somewhere in the system. Do you have mechanisms to trace them?
Yes, of course. We do trace them. We do trace all our learners.
So how many have you found? How many have you found? If you have the mechanisms to trace them, how many have you found? Because I heard you passing the buck to the Department of Basic Education. You say they are the ones. But you as a MEC in Gauteng, you've got the mechanisms. What are those numbers looking like in Gauteng?
No, that's why I was explaining from the onset to say the question from the member, was just specific to the exit. What we needed to explain to the member as well is that there are multiple factors that determine losing a learner. For example, there's also retentions. There are learners who fail in between that period. So those learners might not be visible at the end of grade 12 because they might have failed in between. There are learners that go to FETs post-grade 9. There are learners that move to private schooling. There's also migration outside, parents moving out. Because remember, schooling is also transactional in the sense that it's informed by economic situation where parents can decide to move to another province or country for that
Okay,
matter.
maybe
So
let me ask this question. Yeah, let me ask this question differently. I'm not a member who asked you the question. We are following up on that because they've issued a statement and you've made yourself available, which is great. How confident are you that the numbers dropped in Gauteng during a particular period between grade 1 and grade 12, not because there's been a dropout, but because maybe, as you said, pupils have moved to another province or they've gone to a different, to the private sector or something like that? How confident are you of that?
No, I'm very confident. In fact, I can tell you now, we've done our own assessment. We're sitting at 86% retention for compulsory schooling, which is grade 1 until grade 9, that we have currently. And that's noting, by the way, that I've not factored in what you have just said earlier, that it could form a rationale for the other 14% that you might ask me now to say, where's the other 14%? That's speaking to migration of parents, that's moving to homeschooling. Because remember, during COVID, there was a lot of out migration. Most parents took their child to different provinces because if you remember, Gauteng was also seen as the center of the virus at the time. And also private tuition. Some parents have opted to move their children to private schools, etc., etc., etc. So, but the band that I'm talking about, grade 1 to grade 9, which is compulsory education, where we fully trace the learner, 86% retention is what we talk to in real terms. And this year.
Yeah, but you want that 86% to be closer to 100% over time. If time permitted, we could discuss a little bit more around that. But you're going to have to prove that you do have the mechanisms and the steps, and you can come up with numbers. Because if you can trace grade 1 to grade 9, as you say, MEC, those numbers of 86% should be able to tell you after matric whether they dropped or not. And it should be a concern if we're losing children out of the education system.
No, I agree with you. No, we don't leave anyone behind. Hence, but however, that's why I'm giving you these multiple factors. Actually, I'll give you a study that we did a few years back. Obviously, we will need to redo another one. But the study gave us a real dropout rate of about 4 to 6% throughout the whole term. And it further went on to say we checked what really is causing, and there were 3 things in the main. Firstly, it was a negative peer pressure. There were 3 things. Quickly, let me just go back to my notes quickly because I don't want to make a mistake. But in real terms, we were looking at 5 migration as well as private education. That was the main reasons that we picked up as to the real time to drop out.
Yeah, okay. We'll have, I'm sure we'll have this conversation again because from the reports I've seen, the DA in the legislature is not giving up on asking for relevant answers in terms of this. But it's in the interest of the public to know that we are not losing any of our children out of the education system because it's their future. We need them to be educated so that they can acquire skills as they grow up.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. That's why I said the sentiments we share, that we don't want to lose anybody. We don't want to lose them. But that's why we've put in place mitigating measures to ensure that we keep our learners in school. That include the social aspect of it, school nutrition, scholar transport, no fee, quintile 1 to 3, no fee schools, to ensure that not any economic factor can determine a learner not attending school.
Are there other schools in Gauteng in line with that? Sorry, MEC, let me cut in there. Are the schools in Gauteng adequately equipped with the appropriate resources today?
Yes, I can. There are challenges, of course, infrastructure. I'm sure you've been following up on the infrastructure challenge that we might have.
Yes.
But besides that, in terms of learner-teacher support material, that are resources that are required by educators and learners to ensure that learning and teaching resumes, we have always been at 100% rate with regard to that, to supporting our learners, supporting our educators so that learning and teaching can resume. So in terms of that, we have put in place measures to mitigate. That's why I spoke about, also we have also what we call SIP, Secondary School Intervention Program, so that even learners who have a learning challenge based on maybe loss of learning time, based on a number of, we are able to give them specialized focus so that we bring them up to par with the rest of the learners throughout the province. So we have put everything possible in place so that we retain our learners, and no learner should be left out based on any economic or social pressure that they might be experiencing.
Okay, MEC, final, and if you may be brief. If Panyaza Lesufi asked you as the new Premier to do a report card currently, as we speak, of the state of our schools in Gauteng, especially from grade 1 to matric, on a continuum of between 0 and 10, what mark would you put? What number would you be putting? Between 0 and 10?
Obviously, we'll have to put it into context as to which
areas. No, we don't have time. We don't have time for context.
You can't say, I can't. No, everything must be put into context. It depends on what you are determining, because there's also the educator sector, how's the state of the curriculum aspect, the delivery of it, infrastructure, for example, infrastructure, I would rate it low. So I can't say, but if you say it's just general, it becomes very difficult for me to say it's 5 or it's 7 or 10, because there are many push and pull factors that must be considered.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much, Matome.
In terms of
thank you, MEC. Thank you for your time. That's Matome Chiloane, the MEC for Education in Gauteng. You are watching DSTV Channel 43. That's eNCA, and this is Today. Stay with us.